So good. And now we're going over to the next session, which is the CSALT. You may enter. So we have someone representing. We have Megan. Yes. She's the manager in Jeffreys Bay of the CSALT there. And then we have Logan. He's the National New Zealand Director and also the founder of the CSALT program in New Zealand. And then we have Josh here. He's about to start or want to start the CSALT program here in Hossagor. And we have Jason, who's a former CSALT program student, now heading up CS in South Africa. He's the national director. So we have quite a bit of different phases in pioneering, and it's so cool to have that with us here today. So, Megan, what motivated you to start how does CSALT grow leadership potential with their students?
Yeah, I think to answer that question, we should refer to the 5 core values that we have at CSALT JBay. And those include serve, skate, serve, equip, and disciple. So it's really important to have those core values because it leads us in how we lead the program. So every decision we make, every activity we're involved in needs to be tracked back to those 5 core values. So the most important one of those, and we've spoken about it a little bit at the conference, is discipleship. So at CSALT JBay, we're fortunate enough to have an incredible team of people, which includes myself. We have Henku, who's our academic dean, and then we have epic house parents, Rian and Lynette. And so with regards to discipleship, we found that it's more beneficial to go about it from a relational perspective than like a structured perspective, especially when working with young people. And so the way we implement that is Rian and Lynette, with boys and girls respectively, make the effort and take the time each week to meet up with them personally and walk that road and that journey with them. And then for myself and Henku, we do that more on a day-to-day basis, interacting with the students in the kitchen, in the lecture room, during Bible studies, and even on our surf trips that we do. And further than that, our students are connected in the local church where they also join the Connect groups there. And so they don't only get discipled within the CS and CSALT family, but also through the local church. And I think the last thing I'd say is our heart and our approach to our numbers within CSALT is we try to keep it a small group, so nothing really more than 10 students, which is also an amazing opportunity for the students to get to know each other and for us to really invest in them through discipleship.
Very good. I believe we have a video coming up as well. Yes. Someone wants to join the CSALT program here? Hands up. Woo! That's intense. Yeah, so Logan, you look like a funny guy. You're from New Zealand. You have the stash. You have the curly hair. You have the looks. And I met you in California, and you're dead on, really serious. This is no joke. You're very serious about what you do, and you have a big passion. So, what motivated you to start the CSALT program in New Zealand?
Yeah, so 69% of young Christians leaving home in New Zealand leave their faith. 69%. And so, yeah, I was like, man, why? Some of these kids come through CS, and then they go to university, and it's the unis. It's these places when they leave their homes, their safe place, and then they're like, freedom. They think there's this crazy freedom, but it's just destruction. So I was like, man, what can I do? As the national director, I was like, what can we do? So obviously CSALT started in J-Bay with Roy and the team. But yeah, so I was like, man, we got to do something like that in New Zealand. And so I asked myself, like, what did I need as a grommet leaving school? And so we tried our best to put all of the information. COVID came, and it gave me the opportunity to interview like so many people who do the same thing as CSALT, but in their own, I suppose, in their own countries and their own flavors. And so we picked all of that stuff, all the gold, and I was like, can we filter that through a surfers program? And so CSALT started 3 years ago for us, but now we've had, I think, like 7 different intakes, and we've had 99% of every student who's come through the program are all active in a CS mission or pioneering a mission or going to uni and still with their faith. So it's just been this epic tool to like encourage those before they go to uni, before they go do this. So that's the goal for New Zealand's CSALT. And so to equip them, because it's like, leave your parents. Your family's amazing, but leave and figure this stuff out for yourself. Be in a community of like-minded believers so we can encourage them to go on. So this is like a platform, a trampoline to bounce them to something else, If that's CS, epic, but it doesn't have to be CS. We just want them to know Jesus for a lifetime. And so also from a national director point, for us, CSALT is this epic missional arm. We've got 19 local missions, but a lot of these have been started from CSALT because we can send this team who have got 5 months up their sleeve, right? The first thing is to impact them, but also the other edge of that sword is that they can go out and just, share the gospel, serve these communities that we don't have a local mission. And so it's just been the most effective tool, not only in changing people's lives, but also bringing the gospel to places we can't get. Like I've got a family now, stuff, I just can't get to these places. All of you guys are busy. So this is a great thing for a nation to be able to use people, but also the biggest thing is to change them. Because if we can change their lives, then it doesn't matter where they go. They will go and go back to uni, go to these places. So that's, why I started it. And it's been honor to God, it's just been an amazing journey. And, we're still, wrestling with different things. Every intake, we try to make it better than the last. So it's a flexible program that we, it's an honor.
Very good. So we have the J-Bay CSALT and we have the New Zealand CSALT, and we're starting to see something take shape here. And obviously we're trying to figure out how to put stuff in the right context. So Josh, what's the vision and how are you going to put that into the European context?
Well, that's been a pretty hard question to answer.
Huh?
But our vision or God's vision?
Aha.
And for the last while, we even tried running CSALT twice, and it hasn't worked yet. So we're still trying to figure out what God has got in store for Europe and for France. But when I first came to France, well, I'm from South Africa, so you can hear English is my first language. But when I first got here, I realized, wow, Europe is old. But like a modern kind of old. Old buildings, culture's old, everything sometimes is kind of set in its ways. What's really sad, though, is over the last, 40, 50 years, Christianity has slowly declined in Europe and slowly become more and more secular. What I found is there's actually a lot of young people with a searching heart. A lot of young people have heard about Christianity through their parents or whatever, and then they're not interested in that anymore. That's old. We're looking for a new thing. And I think CSALT in Europe will offer an opportunity for Europeans to create their own context, to understand what a European context looks like in each of their own cultures. And what it looks like is France is the perfect hub for that. Here in Hossagor, so many Europeans come here to come surfing. And God put it on my heart and on Audrey and Powell's heart to maybe test the waters and see if God wants to do that. So CSALT in France might look a little bit different than CSALT in South Africa or New Zealand, but it offers this opportunity of a storm to generate new rising swell. Yeah. And maybe if Europe all comes together on it, it could be a superstorm. And that could then spark off new things. Like the guys have said, the CSALT people, or the people that attended CSALT, often go back. And they're still part of Christian surfers. They're still part of their faith and living it out in new ways back home. Could be a great way to spark Europe's fire. Yeah. So that's the dream. That's the vision for the European context. Yeah. We wait and see until Dad wants it to start.
Fantastic. So pioneering is hard work. It's not only hard work, it demands big courage, and you got to just stand ground. And it seems like you've had some setbacks, and it's tough. It's like, be real, it's tough to be pioneering. He and the crew needs prayer, right? It's we need to stand together in this to see stuff move ahead, to break new grounds, to see new swells. All right, so Jason, you're up. So you're the National Director of CS in South Africa, right? And you're a pretty young chap. Yeah. So my first thought is like, well, I think the CSALT program in JBay did quite fine job. Then it's like seeing the fruit carry out. It's like, yeah, Roy, what do you think about that? That's pretty insane, huh? Yeah. So, how was your CSALT experience, and how did it shape your journey?
Yeah, I think when we talk about shaping, I didn't shape it, or it wasn't a choice that I kind of made. I think it's a dedicated people that have come before me. I even think of Red and Vanessa that were house parents at the stage. There's been a big investment and pulling into this before I decided to do it. Even the local church that I got saved in when I was 12, they had just formed a partnership with Christian surfers, which was called Sunsurf back then. So, I just kind of, when I went to my first Christian Surfers conference in 2010, I met the CSALT students. So I did CSALT in 2016, but my journey with CSALT actually began in 2010 by meeting my first CSALT intake, which was in 2010, which was an Australian dude and two South African guys, and just meeting people that were on fire for the Lord, and were cool. They weren't boring. They were cool. And so when I think of CSALT, I think of people that take time to invest into people's lives. And for me, CSALT gave me an opportunity to discover my giftings. It helped me to deep dive a little bit more into my passions. It helped me to discover what my calling was and my God-given purpose. And purpose is something that we talk about a lot within these days. We want to have purpose in what we do. And CSALT really gave me a platform to deep dive into that. I was lucky to be able to do that straight out of school. And I think about life, and life is hard. I've chatted to one of the local Christian Surfers South Africa legends, Nick Pike, and he's put something new on my kind of thought pattern, which would be is that life is full of hards. So for me, I kind of think of the context of my life, it's marriage, and he kind of put it out within this way, is that life is hard, life is full of hards. It's hard to be single, it's hard to be married. It's hard to be married. Choose your hard, you know. And I think of leaping into adulthood. If I hadn't have done CSALT, man, I don't know what tools I would have had to be able to take on life. School doesn't really teach you that. Uni doesn't really teach you that. CSALT really gave me a platform to navigate through the hards. And CSALT didn't just give me a platform to navigate through those hards. They gave me the foundation of how I should really navigate through those hards. And Jesus should be the firm foundation of that. And that's what CSALT gave me. So CSALT gave me that leaping board kind of platform to, in discovering my passions, my callings, my giftings, to have Jesus at the center of that. So kind of going out from that, I got a little springboard opportunity through doing CSALT to work at Billabong, South Africa as their team and events manager. And CSALT gave me the platform to be rooted in my faith, so that when I hopped into that secular setting, that I could actually be firm in my faith and not be influenced by that secular surfing culture, but to be an influence in that surfing culture. And I needed CSALT to be developed and rooted in my faith, which then helped me to be in that secular setting, which I needed that skill set to develop me as a national director, because if I didn't have that setting of working with budgets, working with people, managing people, I wouldn't be able to be prepared for this. So my journey actually began in 2010 already, but CSALT throughout the years always offered a house for me to come visit, to meet like-minded people that love Jesus, that we could walk our faith out together. None of us perfect, all of us with our faults, but living in community together in a house. And when I got to do a deep dive in doing the program, that really, like grinding it out with people in the same house, communal living, that means there's probably tons of fights, because if you put a bunch of people that are from different walks of faith, that are from different countries, you're going to get a pretty, what a mix of people that you're going to put in there. Like Europeans are super, like on time, and Africans are on African time, you know. And so I kind of just thinking of that, you know, just that mixing pot. You're gonna be able to shape people, and maybe if Heinrich and John Michael or Francois, if you guys do end up watching this, it's just to give a big shout out to them. If not, it's cool just to honor them in front of you guys. But yeah, Heinrich and John Michael, they were house dads, so we didn't have house parents back then, so we could only take in guys, and so we had house dads. We had a couple, Heinrich and John Michael. They weren't dating, so it wasn't, don't worry. But the time that they took out to disciple us, and Megan touched on the discipling aspect of it. So discipleship and giving us a space to really work out our faith. So yeah, it all shaped me into being able to be, and like I said, the journey starts from when I got to just interact with CSALT. So Logan talked about how CSALT is a great missional arm. So yeah, I guess kind of that's the answer.
Fantastic. You did a fine job sharing your hearts and your passion about the CSALT program. For me, it's really all about let's embrace this, let's use it. We have these programs around the world, which would be fantastic to send our younger guys, our grommets. So, and it can be touchy and hard with funding, and I'm just putting it out there. Maybe to send someone is like investing in a future missionary, which would be a pretty good investment in terms of the kingdom of God. So